Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? Hope you're all well. Now, before we kick off with this webinar session, if anybody's got any sort of technical challenges in viewing this webinar stream at all, what I'd highly recommend is to go through the usual kind of tech checks or troubleshooting that we all tend to go through if something doesn't work for us first time around. So if you are perhaps tuned in on your laptop or desktop computer, feel free just to hit that little refresh icon, that little squiggly arrow, and hopefully everything should be working for you after that. Alternatively, if you are tuned in on your smartphone or a tablet device, feel free to come out of the YouTube app and then click back on the link that you received for this webinar session, and hopefully everything should be working for you in the YouTube app itself. Now, if everything is working for you correctly, then that's fantastic. Then that's great. You're already kind of geared up and set up to go. What I highly recommend that you all kind of have throughout the course of this session is definitely be sure to have just kind of a pen and paper on hand, just so you can kind of jot down some notes. There might be kind of things that we'll be discussing or looking at some kind of tips and tools that you might not have heard of before, or tips and tools that might kind of reinforce the kind of the learnings or the practices that you currently go through. And it's kind of nice sometimes to know that you're on the right tracks. I always like to have kind of a pen and paper kind of beside when I'm kind of learning something new. So be sure to kind of have that at hand, just so you can kind of take notes throughout the course of this session. Now, one other thing to note is that captioning is available throughout the course of this webinar session. So if you hover over onto this YouTube video, you'll see that there is an icon, which is a little kind of square or kind of rectangle box with the letters CC in there. That is where that is the icon that you can use to turn captioning or live captioning on or off. So feel free to kind of use that facility if you do require that. So I hope everyone's okay and geared up for this session. So welcome to this Google Digital Garage webinar session, all about how you can get your business visible on Google. My name is Rikesh. I'm going to be your webinar presenter, taking you through the course of this session, which is going to last for approximately 60 minutes. So I'll kick off first with a little bit about me. So I'm a trainer for Google's digital skills program, Google Digital Garage. As well as that, I'm also a digital marketer. So I work with businesses to help them to create and to grow an online presence in order to attract more customers and clients to their business offering. And a large part of that that part of kind of growing a business's online presence is making sure that they are visible in places such as Google. And that's what we're going to be kind of looking at throughout the course of this session. So that's a little bit about me. I'd also like to introduce to you at this stage my colleague and fellow Google Digital Garage trainer, and that is Alison. Now, Alison's going to be our wonderful chat moderator. So if you cast your eyes to the right-hand side of this YouTube screen, you might have noticed already that there is a live chat box. That is your space over the course of this next hour to drop in your thoughts, drop in your questions, drop in your answers to questions. We'll actually be going through an activity coming up very shortly, so feel free to kind of let myself and or Alison know your answers to them. It's always great to kind of get different thoughts and views coming from kind of different people, and we all kind of come at kind of the digital space from different angles as well. So it's great to kind of hear a lot of your insights coming through as well. So feel free to kind of type away into that live chat box. Now, in order to actually type into the live chat box, you will simply just need to sign into your YouTube account, which is very quick and easy to do. So feel free to kind of use that as your kind of your base for replying to questions that you see on screen, but also for dropping in questions. There might be questions that you might ask that might be kind of beyond what we're going to be discussing about today, or there might be kind of questions that either myself and or Alison might not know the answers to. But the worst kind of response that you might get from either of us is, sorry, you don't know the answer. You might not. You might be able to go away and Google it, ironically. However, if there is kind of a useful link, I'm sure that Alison will be able to kind of drop that in for you to kind of follow up on that after this session concludes. So feel free to kind of make the most of that live chats. Now, this session on Get Your Business Visible on Google is one of many webinars that we actually run as part of a wider Google Digital Garage webinar offering. So if you have a look down below me where I'm pointing, you'll see that there is a video description box. Contained within one of those paragraphs is a link to the Google Digital Garage website, which I'm sure many of you would have been familiar with already, because you would have typically booked on for this webinar session using the website itself as well by visiting the live training tab. And you can find a list of other webinar sessions on a variety of other topics that might be useful and relevant for your business, as well as a large chunk of those webinar sessions that we run are based in kind of the world of digital marketing itself as well. Though you'll also find an online courses tab, which you'll see a list of lots of different online courses that you can complete in your own time at your own pace, which are provided by Google at no charge. There is a course which appears first in the list of the online courses called the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing course, which is a course that has an added bonus. So upon completion of the course, as well as kind of gaining knowledge of the fundamentals of digital marketing as a business, you will also receive a certificate at no charge, recognizing that you've completed that course. And that certificate is from Google itself. So, and I'm sure that, and I can already see that Alison has dropped in links for the Google Digital Garage website, as well as the link for the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing course itself. So definitely check out those links that Alison has dropped into the live chat. But let's have a look at what we're covering in today's webinar session on how you can get your business visible on Google. So in this session, we're first of all going to be looking at and kind of understanding how customers find our business. Very, very important, because once you know how customers find us, we can improve this process and make it the best that it can be. So hopefully, the more kind of streamlined that we make this process, the more customers that we are getting coming towards us itself. Now, the natural progression after that is we're going to be then looking at where we can be found on Google. So we're going to be looking at how we can build out our presence, not only on Google search, but also on Google Maps. So we'll be having a look at that a little bit later on as well. And then we'll be rounded off this webinar session, just looking at how we can optimize our visibility on Google. So we'll be going through kind of some tips, some tools, some best practices. So definitely be sure, as I mentioned at the beginning of this session, to have a pen and paper on hand, just so you can kind of jot down some notes as we go along. Now, before we get into kind of the first part of this webinar session, I want to draw your attention to this fantastic resource that you can see here on screen. So if you work for a small business or a charity and you are based in the UK, then you are now eligible to sign up for a free one-to-one mentoring session, which is available from Google, and you can sign up for Google Mentoring and find out more details using the link here on screen. I'm sure that Alison will kindly drop a link to the Google Mentoring website that you can see here on screen as well. So this is a fantastic opportunity for you to have that more kind of tailored discussion with a mentor to talk through some kind of digital skill support that you require for your business or charity. So it might be kind of in relation to your social media presence. It might be in relation to getting more visibility across Google. It might be in relation to your website, perhaps, and improvements off the back of that as well. So definitely recommend that you check out this resource when you get a moment. But let's actually kick off this webinar session just with some statistics. So you can see here that 3 out of 4 online customers use a search engine to find a business. Now you might be thinking, Rikesh, that kind of is not really a surprising statistic, and you'd be absolutely correct. The name search engine implies we kind of search for something. We're looking for something, right? So we use search engines like Google to actually look for something that we are wanting to find out information about, which includes finding out information about businesses as well. Now, something which is kind of which is a little bit more surprising, or something that I kind of found more surprising when I first kind of read this statistic, is that over 80% of smartphone users reported that they routinely conduct searches for local businesses using their smartphone, right? But that's kind of in line with kind of the way of the world, and how the way of the world is right now is that we predominantly live in a mobile first world. So for many of you all, myself and Alison included, the primary device that we have to hand and that we check and look at every day is our smartphone. So that's always something to keep in our mind, especially when we're looking to kind of build out our online presence. We want to always keep in mind the fact that we live in a mobile first world. And then other devices come into play, such as a laptop, such as a tablet device as well. But we live in a mobile first world. So I just want to kind of throw these kind of statistics just for you to kind of keep in your mind as we're progressing throughout the course of this webinar session. So how do customers find us? So I hope that you actually have got your smartphones at hand, because let's kind of run a bit of an activity here. So what I want you to do is, with your smartphone, I want you to search on your smartphone for pizza. So hypothetically, let's say that it's Tuesday today here in the UK. So let's say that you're not feeling like cooking today, and you think, do you know what? Let me get a pizza takeaway, for example, or you're going to go out for dinner to a pizza restaurant. How would you search for that? Now, for those of you who are tuning in from different parts of the world and may have had your dinner already, I want you to hypothetically think about having dinner tomorrow night and having pizza then. And kind of think about how do you search for kind of pizza where you are based. So feel free to use either Google Search or Google Maps. You can type in the search term that you can see here on screen, which is pizza near me. And I want you just to have a look at kind of the results that you see come up. So all the businesses that come up, and I want you to then just kind of mentally select, hypothetically, if you were going to be dining out somewhere, which of those businesses would you select? Now, you don't need to go onto the website and kind of look at the menu or anything like that, unless you are actually in the market for having a bit of pizza this evening. But just kind of mentally select which one of those kind of businesses that you would kind of engage with and interact with a view to kind of placing an order, or with a view to reserving a table at their restaurant as well. Now, once you've done that, I want you to then reflect upon what you've just done. So you can see two questions here on screen. The first of which is, how did you search for pizza online? Did you type in what you saw on screen? So did you type in pizza near me? Or did you type in kind of pizza followed by your city? So pizza London, for example, or pizza Birmingham, for example. Or did you just type in where can I find the best pizza near me? Where you kind of, what sort of phrases did you type in? Now, the reason why I asked that and for you to kind of reflect upon that is because our search behaviors change over periods of time. So that phrase near me, we weren't really using that like 6-7 years ago. It wasn't that kind of common to use that. 6-7 years ago, we were using Pizza London. We were using best pizza in Paris, right? We were using those kind of phrases as opposed to being kind of more specific. So our search behaviors do change over a period of time, and I'm sure many of you would have kind of noticed, especially with your own kind of search behaviors, that we can get more specific these days as well. And we'll have a look at that when we look at kind of keywords a little bit later on as well. Now, the second question that you can see here on screen is, what factors helped you decide which one of those businesses that you went for? So let me know your answers into the live chat. So jump into the live chat. Remember, it's on the right-hand side of your screen. Alison's already been there, is already there as well, and kind of keep an eye on some of your comments that are coming through as well. So what made you think, oh, do you know what? I'm going to be selecting that particular pizza business. What were some of the factors that came into your mind as you were scanning through that those kind of lists of all those businesses? So there's different kind of factors that you might kind of think of. So the thing that kind of draws my attention very much kind of from the outset is the star rating. I'm drawn to kind of that visual aspect, probably from kind of the times when I've been kind of searching for things like hotels when I'm going away on holiday. I'll look at kind of what's the star rating, what's the review rating, and then I'll kind of base things off the back of that. What's the amenities in the hotel? So I kind of translate that even when I'm looking for something like a pizza restaurant or a pizza takeaway place. I'll look at the star rating first. Then my eye actually goes over and actually has a look at the number in brackets beside the star rating. So it will have a look at that. So, okay, it's a 5-star rating based upon 15 reviews, for example. And I'm like, okay, that's good. That's kind of good to hear. Probably the number's a little bit low, especially if the business has been around for a long period of time. But it's encouraging to hear that it's kind of it's that kind of a 5-star rating as well. So that's something that might have drawn your attention from the outset. Now, for some of you as well, you might have been drawn to the fact that the what's kind of known as the business profile would have had maybe some really eye-catching photos. So maybe some really good photos of some enticing pizza. You can see that it's kind of freshly topped with olives or other kind of ingredients on there as well. And that might have caught your attention, because we're very much kind of visual people, right? So we're kind of drawn to certain things just by something that's really, really eye-catching. So maybe photos is something that drew your attention. And it's different for everybody. For other people, you might be kind of drawn to the name. So you might be drawn to a particular pizza chain because you've eaten at them before. So that might be something that you thought, yeah, let me just eat there because I've had their pizza before. It's great. It's tried and tested, and I'm happy with that as well. And you kind of know the inside of the restaurant itself, so you think, yeah, it's great. And you know that they got parking at the back of the restaurant, for example. All those kind of little things come into your mind as well. And also something which, especially over the last couple of years, we've kind of thought more about is thinking about kind of location as well. So a lot of the times, if we're going to be kind of ordering a pizza for kind of takeaway or delivery, we don't necessarily want to be ordering from somewhere which is about 15 miles away. We want somewhere which is a little bit closer, so we know that we're going to be getting a hot pizza by the time it arrives, rather than kind of a lukewarm one when it arrives as well. So there's different factors that we all kind of look at. Which is very, very important to kind of just be aware of and to analyze. So feel free to kind of let me know in the chat what kind of draws your attention the most out of all these kind of profiles that you kind of looked at with the pizza businesses themselves. Now you might be wondering, well, Rakesh, why have we kind of kicked off this webinar session by going through this activity? Well, what you've all just gone through is what is known as a customer online search journey. So we went through the search stage. So you saw the slide, it said pizza near me. So you typed in either that or you typed in something similar. Then I asked you to make a decision on which one of those businesses out of the list that you saw that popped up on your screen that you would have hypothetically selected to place an order at or to book a table at. And then the final stage would have been the engagement stage. And some of you might go through to the engagement stage and actually maybe get a pizza for delivery this evening or book a table to kind of dine out there this evening as well. Now, the reason why this customer online search journey is important is because this is what customers, and you can rephrase kind of the word customers, replace that with clients, you can replace that with patrons or other kind of words and phrases that you think are most appropriate for your business. But essentially, this customer online search journey is what people are doing when they are searching for businesses like ours, right? So it's important to go through this particular customer online search journey for your own business, for your own product or service offering specifically itself as well. Now, obviously, the contents will differ because it's not like everybody's got a pizza business who are tuned in for this webinar session. But you want to kind of make sure that you go through this process, because once you go through this customer online search journey process, you will then able to kind of reverse engineer the process and kind of refine it and make sure that this kind of the decision making is a lot easier. So it might be things such as kind of improving the quality of your photos. It might be might be the fact that you're getting more reviews or other kind of factors. You're adding in opening hours. We'll be kind of having a look at some of those tips and best practices a little bit later on as well. But it's important to go through this process so that we can then reverse engineer it and make it as streamlined as possible to hopefully attract more people to your business offering itself. So that is why kind of search is very important. It is very much that first touch point that people tend to go through. As we looked at the very first statistic of this webinar session, is that 3 out of 4 people use search engines to find a business. So that's why search is important. Now, search is also important from an aspect of kind of mindset, whereby kind of years ago, we might have kind of had that mindset or that kind of age-old concept that's been around for a while, which is that if you build it, they will come. Now, in kind of the digital world, that's not necessarily the case. In the digital world, as we all kind of well know, the internet is huge and very vast. So it's more of a case of, it's not if you build it, they will come. It's more a case of you need to be actively found. And that's where kind of search engines come into play. So with that in mind, I'm just going to be showing you a very short kind of 5-minute video, which does kind of carry a lot of information. Don't worry if you're not able to absorb all the information in the 5-minute clip that will be showing, because Alison will kind of drop a link into the chat so you can kind of watch this video back as many times as you like, as it's readily available on YouTube. So just kind of take a look at this video, which will provide a little bit more kind of context on how Google search works.
Every day, billions of people come here with questions about all kinds of things. Sometimes we even get questions about Google search itself, like how this whole thing actually works. And while this is a subject entire books have been written about, there's a good chance you're in the market for something a little more concise. So let's say it's getting close to dinner and you want a recipe for lasagna. You've probably seen this before, but let's go a little deeper. Since the beginning, back when the homepage looked like this, Google has been continuously mapping the web, hundreds of billions of pages, to create something called an index. Think of it as the giant library we look through whenever you do a search for lasagna or anything else. Now, the word lasagna shows up a lot on the web. Pages about the history of lasagna, articles by scientists whose last name happened to be lasagna, stuff other people might be looking for. But if you're hungry, randomly clicking through millions of links is no fun. This is where Google's ranking algorithms come into play. First, they try to understand what you're looking for, so they can be helpful even if you don't know exactly the right words to use or if your spelling is a little off. Then they sift through millions of possible matches in the index and automatically assemble a page that tries to put the most relevant information up top for you to choose from. Okay, now we have some results. But how did the algorithms actually decide what made it onto the first page? There are hundreds of factors that go into ranking search results, so let's talk about a few of them. You may already know that pages containing the words you search for are more likely to end up at the top. No surprise there. But the location of those words, like in the page's title or in an image's caption, those are factors too. There's a lot more to ranking than just words. Back when Google got started, we looked at how pages linked to each other to better understand what pages were about and how important and trustworthy they seemed. Today, linking is still an important factor. Another factor is location, where a search happens. Because if you happen to be in Ormea, Italy, you might be looking for information about their annual lasagna festival. But if you're in Omaha, Nebraska, you probably aren't. When a web page was uploaded is an important factor too. Pages published more recently often have more accurate information, especially in the case of a rapidly developing news story. Of course, not every site on the web is trying to be helpful. Just like with robocalls on your phone or spam in your email, there are a lot of sites that only exist to scam, and every day scammers upload millions more of them. So just because instantvirusdownload.net lists the words lasagna recipe 400 times, that doesn't mean it's going to help you make dinner. We spend a lot of time trying to stay one step ahead of tricks like these, making sure our algorithms can recognize scam sites and flag them before they make it to your search results page. So let's review. Billions of times a day, whenever someone searches for lasagna, or resume writing tips, or how to swaddle a baby, or anything else, Google software locates all the potentially relevant results on the web, removes all the spam, and ranks them based on hundreds of factors like keywords, links, location, and freshness. Okay, good time to take a breath. This last part is about how we make changes to search, and it's important. Since 1998, when Google went online, people seem to have found our results pretty helpful. But the web is always changing, and people are always searching for new things. In fact, 1 in every 7 searches is for something that's never been typed into the search box before, by anyone, ever. So we're always working on updates to search, thousands every year. Which brings up a big question. How do we decide whether a change is making search more helpful? Well, one of the ways we evaluate potential updates to search is by asking people like you. Every day, thousands of search quality raters look at samples of search results side by side, then give feedback about the relevance and reliability of the information. To make sure those evaluations are consistent, the raters follow a list of search quality evaluator guidelines. Think of them as our publicly available guide to what makes a good result good. Oh, and one last thing to remember. We use responses from raters to evaluate changes, but they don't directly impact how search results are ranked. So there you have it. Every time you click search, our algorithms are analyzing the meaning of the words in your search, matching them to the content on the web, understanding what content is most likely to be helpful and reliable, and then automatically putting it all together in a neatly organized page designed to get you the info you need. All in, 0.81 seconds? Wow. Anyone else ready for dinner?
Okay, so I hope that kind of that 5-minute, quite sort of thorough and in-depth video kind of helped kind of make a little bit more sense about how Google search works, especially looking at kind of those they just kind of mentioned a handful of kind of hundreds of factors that come into play in determining whether your website listing on the Google search page results appears on page 1 or page 10 or page 5. So things like kind of location, such as keywords, such as kind of freshness as well. There's a lot of kind of different factors at play as well. But I appreciate there's a lot to kind of absorb in that kind of short 5 minutes period of time. I'm sure that you might have also picked up that there was kind of a reference to lasagna. So it seems like we're on kind of the Italian cuisine kind of topic throughout the course of this session. We've already spoken about pizza in the first activity of this day of this particular webinar session. Now we've kind of moved on to lasagna. So if you weren't hungry before, I'm sure that you might be a little bit more peckish now. But feel free to kind of rewatch that particular YouTube video back on how Google search works, as Alison's kindly dropped the link in the live chat. So a very important question that we do need to ask when it comes to our visibility as a business online is, are customers searching for us? Are they searching for our products and or services online in general? So in order to kind of answer this question, there's a fantastic tool that we can use to help us, and that tool is called Google Trends. Now, Google Trends is a tool that is available at no charge. So you're able to just jump onto trends.google.com or just type in on Google Trends, and it will be kind of the link that will appear, and you can kind of find out what is the interest over a specific period of time in terms of specific keywords that we type in. So you can see an example here on screen of plumbers near me. You could type in pizza near me if you're a pizza restaurant yourself as well. And you can see what is the interest over kind of the past 5 years or the past year or the past 6 months. And you can kind of segment this by country as well. And this is quite useful as well for those businesses that might be looking to kind of scale and kind of grow into new markets, grow into new countries as well. So you can see the interest of plumbers near me as a search term. But let's say you are based in the United States, you can see what is the interest compared to plumbers near me in the United Kingdom, which is where I'm based as well, and actually see whether that's something that you can kind of expand into a new market as well. So definitely kind of check out Google Trends, and it will help us kind of identify whether people are using kind of search terms like plumbers near me, or are they using something different. Because remember, as we spoke about with kind of the pizza activity, our search terms and behaviors in how we do search for things on search engines like Google change over a period of time as well. So with that in mind, let's have a check-in, see if there's any sort of comments or questions at this stage. I can't see any comments or questions coming in at this stage. I'm sure many of you are kind of just processing that video, as it did take me kind of a few watches just to kind of absorb all of that information as well, because I remember when I kind of watched it back a couple of more times as well, I was just picking up new things that I hadn't really properly absorbed and understood before as well. So definitely recommend that you check out that video a few more times, just to kind of embed it a little bit more into your mind there as well. So let's move on to the next part of this webinar session. So we've kind of gone from a natural progression of understanding how customers find us. We've gone through that customer online search journey, because as we spoke about earlier on, it's important to go through that journey for our business, for our product or service offering, because then we can look to refine that process when we come to reverse engineering it as well. So the natural kind of progression off the back of that is to then look at where can we kind of build out our presence on Google. And that's something which the video that we watched alluded to specifically as well. So before we actually have a look at the 3 specific areas, it's important just to look at this page that you can see here on screen. So this is a screenshot of the Google search engine results page, which I'm sure many, if not all of you who are tuned in for this webinar session would be well kind of acclimatized to. So if you've typed anything into that Google search box and hit the enter key or hit that magnifying glass button, you would have seen a page like this. Now this is how it appears on a desktop kind of device. And it will appear slightly different on a mobile, in kind of mobile view, but it's got kind of the key and kind of core information there as well. So you've got kind of at the top, you've got kind of the search query box. So this is where you're typing in pizza near me. You're typing in this example here, which is Stacey's Bakery. So we're looking for a bakery here. And then below that, you've got kind of the first set of results, which is made up of the advertising section. So you can see with this example, with this screenshot, that you've got a combination of both shopping ads. So you've got different types of kind of baked treats, which are available from not only from Stacey's Bakery, but from a variety of other bakery businesses as well. And then you've got text-based adverts as well. So you can see kind of, it might be a little bit tricky to kind of see, but there is kind of a little ad. If I zoom in a little bit more, you can see kind of there's a little kind of green box which has the word ad in there as well, in that section. And then you've got kind of, if I move over here to the right first, you've got kind of the business profiles area. So this is something that was known as your business listing prior. Now it's known as your Google business profile. And then kind of the third and final place that you can be found is through the organic search results. And this is what the video is discussing about in terms of your it was about kind of your website being found just by where your keywords are placed, whether it be in the titles, whether it be in kind of the photo caption, whether it be in kind of the main kind of content that you've kind of written out perhaps as well. And there's other kind of factors that come into play as well. So they're kind of the three areas that we can be found. So we've got kind of paid search, so the advertising space, which appears first after this, which appears first as the as kind of the main set of results, or kind of the first set of results. You've then got your business profile, which appears typically on the right hand side if you're viewing it in desktop view that we saw, but then it'll also appear kind of at the top of the page, quite close to kind of the advertising section if you're viewing it in a mobile view as well. And then you've got the organic search section. So let's actually have a look at organic search. So organic search is essentially our website, our business website, being found and kind of being kind of ranked and organized by search engines like Google, whether you appear kind of on the first page, just after the advertising section, which is where we want to get to, ideally, kind of like the sweet spot, or if not, just generally we want to appear on the first page. If somebody's searching for products and services like the ones that we sell, we ideally want to get onto that first page of the Google search results, especially because not many of us tend to kind of go and kind of keep clicking kind of towards the next page and the next page and the next page, the next page, because we tend to kind of have short attention spans these days. So we want to find things very, very quickly, especially when we are spending time online and kind of looking for something on search engines. But there's different kind of factors that determine whether we appear on the first page or the fifth page or the 10th page of results. So what we want to do is we want to make kind of incremental improvements to our website. And these kind of incremental improvements is a process, it's a journey. And this kind of process is a process known as search engine optimization. So you might have heard of this phrase before, search engine optimization. In the world of marketing, everybody seems to love a good kind of acronym. So you might have actually heard of it by its acronym of SEO. But essentially, search engine optimization, as you can see here on screen, is kind of, which has got kind of the definition on screen, is the practice of increasing the quantity and quality of traffic to your website through your organic search engine results. So what this means is this is kind of the process and practice of increasing not only the number of people that are visiting your website, but the quality of those people. So it's all good and well kind of having hundreds or thousands of people coming to visit your website, but you only really want to be attracting those individuals who are most likely to buy from you or inquire about a service that you provide perhaps as well. So this is kind of a kind of an iterative process. It takes kind of time to build. And as we kind of saw with that video, there's hundreds of factors like location, like freshness, like page linking as well. There's all these different kind of factors that come into play that determine whether we kind of appear quite high up on the Google search engine results or whether we appear a bit lower down. So it's something which kind of takes a little bit of time for us to kind of get to where we want to be as well. Now, there are some kind of top tips for success. One of them is to make sure that our website always has useful and high quality content. Very, very important to kind of have that, because we've done all this kind of, we do all this kind of work in order to get people to visit our website. And then if our website is a little bit kind of lacking in content, then that's something which is automatically going to put people off and think, oh, I'm just going to click off that. I'm going to go somewhere else. So it's very important to have that as our kind of focal point. We always want to be having or kind of creating useful and high quality content especially on our website, because that's going to be our kind of our base, which we want to get people to kind of come to as well, in general. Now, we also want to make sure that web pages are search friendly, and this was actually highlighted in the video that we watched. So think about kind of adding certain keywords. So these are words and phrases that relate to what we're discussing in maybe on maybe a web page, and also in relation to what people are searching for. So maybe a keyword like pizza, for example. You can kind of maybe put that in kind of the title of your web page, and also maybe put it in a photo caption if that's relevant, and also within certain paragraphs of what you are discussing about perhaps as well. And when it comes to kind of keywords, it's important to carry out some research in terms of what people are searching for. So hence why we discussed earlier on the Google Trends tool, because it's a tool available at no charge, so we can readily use it. And it's something for us to kind of monitor what people's search term behavior is like over a period of time, because near me is something which has been around for a while, and maybe we're kind of evolving into other phrases now as well. Now, as well as Google Trends, there's also another keyword research tool that we can use, and this is a tool called the Keyword Planner. So the Keyword Planner tool is actually built into the Google Ads platform. Now, you don't need to run any Google Ads in order to actually access this tool. So you can just sign up for Google Ads account, and then actually access the Google Ads platform, and actually navigate your way to the Keyword Planner tool, and actually conduct some research in terms of what are people, what kind of words and phrases are people using when they are searching for products and services that you sell and provide respectively as well. Now, when it comes to keywords, we want to understand what people are specifically looking for. So a number of years ago, we were kind of using short keywords that you can see with kind of the list on the left. So things like kind of trainers or kind of trail running shoes, whereas now we're using more kind of long tail keywords. So we're getting more specific with what we want, because we know that search engines are getting smarter and smarter. So we're able to kind of throw more information at it, and more specific information at it as well. So I remember a number of years ago now, I actually did this obstacle course called Tough Mudder, which is kind of you've got kind of 20 odd or 20 plus obstacles plus a 12-mile run in between, and it's a fantastic yet grueling kind of challenge that I did with my friends. But one thing I kind of did before I actually set out and kind of did this was, as well as kind of buying kind of the right sort of clothing, I also made sure I bought the right type of trainers. So rather than me just typing in trainers or trail running shoes, I actually did type in, hoping that I'd find something on the Google search engine results. I actually typed in best trainers for Tough Mudder event, and I hit enter. And to my kind of pleasant surprise, I actually found that there were quite a few kind of blog posts that were up there. And I was able to kind of click on some of them, read some of the reviews about some of the trainers that people had previously used for Tough Mudder, and some that were kind of well reviewed. And off the back of that, I actually clicked onto kind of a link for a retailer, and actually purchased a pair off the back of that as well. So it's important to kind of understand what our customers or clients, whoever you are looking to kind of attract, what they are intending with what they are kind of typing into that Google search query box as well. Now, the way that we can kind of monitor this, because it's very important to do this in terms of this search engine optimization process, we want to know if we're kind of heading in an upward trajectory or kind of a downward trajectory in terms of our kind of average page ranking. And that is where another Google tool comes into play, and it's a Google tool called Google Search Console. Now, Google Search Console is another Google tool available at no charge. And what this does is that it monitors your progress. So you can see how you rank on Google. You can see your average page position. So if your average page position is like 15, for example, when you first set up your website, and you're continually kind of making improvements to your website content, you'll be able to kind of monitor you kind of moving from 15 to 11 to 4 to 3, and eventually hopefully to 1. That'd be brilliant, right? But also crucially with Google Search Console is that you can actually see what keywords are bringing up your web pages, or specific web pages in the search results as well, and that will give you a good indication on whether your website content is in line with what you want people to search for and kind of find your web pages off the back of that as well. So I definitely recommend that you check out Google Search Console and kind of link that through with your business website if you haven't yet done so already. Now, when it comes to kind of this search engine optimization process, it's not generally about kind of making sure that we only put ourselves into kind of the shop window of people who are kind of searching from us from quite kind of further afield, or kind of from different parts of the world, or kind of different cities in the country that you're based in. We also want to make sure that we are including and kind of marketing and targeting ourselves to our local audience as well. And that is where kind of local search engine optimization comes into play as well. So we're increasing our kind of search visibility for businesses who actually serve their communities face to face as well. And that is where the second place in which we can build out a presence on Google comes into play. And this is through building our business profile that we saw kind of on the right hand side of the screen of the screenshot that we saw earlier on. Now, your Google business profile, you can see appears like this. So you can see how it appears both on mobile and in tablet view as well. But you can also see that your Google business profile appears both in Google Search as well as Google Maps as well. So when you actually set yourself up with a Google business profile, which was formerly known as kind of Google My Business listing, when you set yourself up with a Google business profile, that ensures that you are not only going to be appearing in the Google search results on kind of that right hand side of the screen, or kind of top of the screen, as you can see here with the mobile view, but also if somebody's searching for businesses like yours, or somebody searches for your business on the Google Maps app, then your business profile will still appear there with the relevant information, which is very, very important. Now, in order to actually set yourself up with a Google business profile, you can visit business.google.com, add in kind of select your business, enter in relevant information, and we'll look at kind of what constitutes kind of relevant and important information for your business profile coming up shortly as well, and then verify to Google that you are who you say you are as well, so that you then have full access to kind of the functionality of the Google business profile platform, and kind of the feature sets for you to kind of customize your profile itself as well. Now, the beauty of having a Google business profile is that we're able to show people that we're active, especially over the last couple of years. There have been kind of businesses that might have kind of opened up on kind of a part-time basis, or kind of on a reduced hours basis. But it's a great way of letting people know we're open for business. Come and visit us. You can add in kind of business information, like kind of opening hours, where you're based as well. You can also add in kind of a virtual tour as well. So you can either do this through getting a certified photographer to kind of take kind of those 360-degree images, or you can actually also, if you wanted to, download the Google Street View app, which is available at no charge, and actually stitch together and create, using the Google Street View app, a 360-degree image, which you can then upload. So, for example, if your business is a restaurant, you can actually take a 360-degree view from the center of your restaurant, so that you're able to then upload that 360 image to your business profile, so that somebody who's coming or potentially looking to book a table at your restaurant can see what's the vibe, what's the environment like inside your restaurant before they maybe place that reservation. Because kind of when we're kind of looking for something, even if it's kind of looking for products, not only are we looking for things like reviews, we're also looking for things like kind of photos as well. So the more information, the better going forward as well. And the beauty of having a Google business profile is that it's available at no charge for us to set up as well. So it's another kind of avenue for us to kind of build out a presence on Google as well. Now, the third and final place in which we can have a presence on Google is through paid advertising. Now, paid advertising is also known, especially when it comes to search engines, is search engine marketing, or SEM for short. But essentially what it means is that you're placing adverts that appear exclusively on search engines, with the view of kind of getting that prime visibility, because you're going to be appearing very high up and on the first page of the search results. So you're kind of essentially paying your way to the top. So where can we see these search ads appear? Well, typically they would appear at the top of the page. You can also get kind of shopping-based ads, as we saw with that kind of bakery example with the screenshot, and then you get your text-based ads. Now, in terms of text-based ads, you'll get kind of a maximum of 4. So if you kind of so the way kind of adverts on search engines typically work is that you get is that you'll typically get or you kind of typically go into an auction and you place bids on which keywords that you then want your advert to show up for. So if it's pizza near me or pizza in London, for example, and people type in pizza in London, and if you're one of the 4 highest bidders, for example, then typically your advert will show up when somebody searches for that keyword itself as well. Now, in terms of kind of the brief kind of steps in terms of setting up a search ad, you can see here we want to use the platform of Google Ads. And remember, Google Ads was the platform that I mentioned, which you can sign up for, which will then allow you access to the keyword planner tool. And that's where we want to go, even when it comes to advertising, and especially when it comes to advertising, because when it comes to advertising, there's money at stake. So we want to make sure that we are being more diligent than ever, because there's money on the line, because we've got an advertising budget that we want to look after. We want to kind of look after and ideally get a return on our investment, and actually, kind of surpass that, and actually make sure that kind of this advertising is kind of working best for us as well. So we then want to kind of pick out the right keywords that we want to kind of place a bid for, and then we want to go ahead and write a compelling ad, because it's all good and well creating an advert, but it's going to be useless if we're not really enticing people with kind of the words and phrases that we're kind of using as kind of our headlines in our advert as well. Now we actually go more in depth with advertising, with search advertising and other types of advertising online in our webinar session that we've got called Get Started with Digital Advertising. So if that's of interest to you, definitely recommend that you check out and kind of book yourself onto the next running webinar session on that topic. So you can visit the Google Digital Garage website. Remember, the links in the video description box below, and be sure to look out for Get Started with Digital Advertising as a topic as well. So with that in mind, let's have a check-in, see if there's any sort of comments or questions at this stage. I can't see any questions or comments at this stage. So we'll roll into kind of the final part of this session, which is all about kind of boosting your presence on Google. So we're going to be just briefly kind of touching upon some useful tips, tools, and best practices to help us to increase our presence and kind of be as refined as we can be. And this is something which is always an iterative process. Now, when it comes to your website, you can have a look at the Google Test My Site. So this, if you visit g.co/test my site, or if you just type in Google Test My Site, I'm sure you'll be kind of taken to the most kind of appropriate web page. And what this does is, when you type in your website address on this website and hit the enter key, what Google will do is that it will analyze how quickly your website loads on kind of a mobile data connection. And off the back of that, it'll actually tell you what's that speed. So is it 4 seconds or 15 seconds or something in between? And then it will also say off the back of that loading time, or the average loading time, it will tell you what is the estimated visitor loss due to that specific loading time itself as well. And it works off kind of like a traffic light system. So you can see here on screen with the second screenshot that everything's in the green. So average loading time is 4 seconds, mobile data, and estimated visitor loss is 10%. And that's good. Now, if you see anything which is in the amber or red, then that's something for you to kind of maybe concern yourself a little bit with, and maybe make some kind of adjustments and improvements. Now, speaking of adjustments and improvements, not only does this website kind of just point out whether your website's running too slow or whether it's kind of working well, is that it will also give you, even if you're in the green, it will give you some useful top fixes for you to kind of make. Now, some of these top fixes you might not understand. I know some of them, when I kind of ran this for one of my websites, I didn't understand. So I had to do a lot of Googling, because I set up the website myself. But if you didn't set up the website yourself, and you maybe had someone like a website developer do that for you, then the best thing that I'd probably recommend is you can actually download a copy of your report, which has the top fixes in there, and then forward that on to your website developer saying, hi, you set up my website. Here's a copy of the report from Google Test My Site. I'd be grateful if you could look into some of these top fixes and make my website quicker. So that would be kind of very, very useful. If not, then it's just probably a case of kind of Googling things. How can you kind of adjust certain settings and options in kind of the behind the scenes sections of your website itself as well. So definitely recommend that tool. As I mentioned, it's available at no charge, and you're able to kind of see how quick your website is running. Now, when it comes to your business profile, it's important to kind of keep up to date with kind of all the information and details that you have on there as well. So a lot of details, things like kind of business name, you don't really need to update that often because that doesn't really change too often. But things like kind of location address, maybe you change business addresses often. That's something which you want to make sure that you're updating, because you want to relay that information to potential customers who are then going to be viewing your business profile as well. Also, it's important to kind of add and refresh photos as well, because sometimes photos can go stale. So we want to look to kind of refresh photos. Now, it doesn't mean that we need to kind of go out and buy a professional DSLR or mirrorless camera to kind of take these images. A lot of the times we can just use our humble smartphone, which is our primary device these days, because the cameras on smartphones these days are incredible. So we can just use that to take images and then upload them to our business profile as well. We also want to look to kind of respond to reviews. Very, very important when it comes to reviews, to respond to them, and not just kind of respond to the ones that are that are kind of very glowing. We want to respond to all the reviews that come through, even if it's kind of the 1-star or 2-star ones, because we want to kind of show to potential customers who will likely kind of read through and kind of sift through the reviews. We want to kind of showcase to them that we are attentive. We're kind of listening to the people that might have kind of slipped through the net by whatever means, in terms of the service that they should have received, perhaps, or kind of the product that wasn't, that was maybe faulty, for example. So we're able to kind of respond to them, because if I was a potential customer of your business and I come across and have a look at your business profile and all I see is the business responding to only the glowing and happy reviews, and not responding to the ones that may have not received their products or had poor customer service, then that will make me think twice. Well, if I don't necessarily receive the best service, or I receive kind of a faulty item, then are they just going to ignore me as well? So it kind of it's important to kind of respond to everything that comes through, whether kind of good or bad as well. And also something very, very important with our business profile is be sure to kind of add managers, allow other people to kind of access your business profile, to kind of create kind of admin access for others, because I guess kind of the way of kind of or the world of work and the way of business is that there might be kind of staff turnover. So it's important to make sure that not only you have access, but other people have access as well. And in the eventuality that somebody moves on, you can kind of revoke that access and kind of give access to kind of another individual as well, so that things like photos can be refreshed and updated, as well as opening hours can be adjusted as per kind of maybe public holidays that might be coming up as well. Now, something that you can do through your business profile is you can actually set up a website if you don't already have one yet. So you can actually navigate your way to the website section. You can actually see here on the screenshots that there is a navigation pane here. So you've got things like home, post, info, and then you've got a section that says website. So this is kind of the navigation pane of your business profile, kind of dashboard area. So one of them is website. So you can actually create a website at no charge, and it's very easy to do as well. It's very much kind of a drag and drop. So drop in your images, drag in your kind of dragging where you want to kind of add your headings, and where you want to add in kind of information about kind of services that you provide, for example. And then it's just a case of kind of publishing it as well, once you've added the right font and kind of a theme for your website as well. Now, in terms of the website address that you'll get, it will typically be your company name or your business name .business.site. So it will end in .business.site. However, if you wish to kind of purchase a domain name, something like a .com, or wherever you are based in the world, you can actually then link that through to the website that you've created through this as well. You can also visit kind of Google Sites and create this kind of independently rather than kind of just going through the process of your business profile. But it's a really fantastic tool, and yeah, it's available at no charge. So if you don't already have a website presence, it's a fantastic way to kind of just create that presence and start kind of building on from there as well. Now, when it comes to your business profile, it's important to add and update opening hours, as I mentioned, especially with things like kind of bank holidays and kind of public holidays that might be that there might be in the countries that you are based in as well. You can do this in advance as well. I know of kind of businesses that have been able to kind of a month or two in advance have been able to kind of add in when they're closed for kind of Christmas and the New Year period, for example, as well. And it kind of just makes sure for you as a business owner or a business manager, you're able to think, I've already told people, because I've already locked that in, so that when it comes towards the Christmas period, people know when we're open, when we're not open as well. Now, also, we also spoke about kind of using photos to attract visitors as well. This is kind of more so important for those businesses that are kind of have a specific premises, more so than those that do not and kind of are online only, because on online only, the only kind of things that you can really take photos of maybe kind of products or something relating to kind of your service there specifically as well. But I'm sure you might have kind of seen this done quite well. You might have seen this done quite well by some of the pizza businesses that you saw earlier on as well. So by not only having images of the actual pizzas that they sell, but also have interior photos of the restaurants, also exterior photos, how it looks from the outside, so that if somebody's walking down the busy high street, they can see, oh, it's going to be on the left hand side, or oh, it's going to be opposite or next door to this particular retail shop as well, going forward. Now, a fantastic resource, a fantastic kind of tool, which is part of your business profile, which you can use, is the post feature. So post kind of works in the same or similar sort of way in which you would maybe typically post on social media. So how you'd maybe post on Instagram or Facebook, how you'd post a video on YouTube perhaps as well. It kind of works in that sort of way because you're posting an update. And it can come in various forms. It could be, we've got a brand or kind of a brand new relaunch of our store, or we're launching a new product, or there's a new service that we're going to be launching perhaps as well, or we've got special promotions and offers. And this is something which I tend to find is still quite an underutilized feature by many kind of businesses. And the best way to kind of think about this post feature is just to kind of incorporate this into your workflow. So if you are going to be posting an update onto one of your social media platforms, then think about, okay, when I post that update on there, let me think about posting the update also on my Google business profile as well. So again, it shows people that you are active. And again, with your business profile, as with anything, we want to monitor our performance. How well is it doing? And that's where the insights feature on our Google business profile comes into play. So we're able to kind of measure how many people are finding us directly. So how many people are coming through us directly by searching for our business name, like Rakesh's Pizzeria, compared to people who are typing in pizza in London. So we can have a look at that split, and you can see with this kind of green and blue circle here on screen. So the green circle represents how many people are finding a business directly. So Rakesh's Pizza, for example, and then you've got the blue circle of people who are finding the business by discovery. So pizza in London, for example, as well. And you can also monitor things like how many people are viewing your photos as well, so you can see which photos resonate more than others going forward as well. So let's have a final roundup, see if there's any sort of comments or questions, which I can't see at the moment, but I can see that Alison has kindly been dropping in useful links into the chat as well. So you should be sure to kind of copy and paste some of those links into kind of tabs on your screen and kind of review them after this session as well. So let's go into your next steps. So in terms of your next steps, one of your next steps is to check out this resource that I mentioned at the very beginning of this webinar session. If you work for a small business or a charity and you're based in the UK, then you can sign up for Google Mentoring using the link on screen here. And as I mentioned, it's a fantastic way of you and kind of way of you of having that kind of more tailored discussion and sit down with a mentor to kind of discuss some digital skills support that you might require for small business or charity going forward as well. So I hope that you found this webinar session useful. I hope that you did. If you did, both myself and Alison would appreciate a little bit of feedback. I've got a feedback form link on screen here, so we'd appreciate your feedback. Feel free to also share your experiences on how you found this Google Digital Garage webinar session. If you are going to share that experience through means of like social media, feel free to include a hashtag that you can see here on screen, which is hashtag Digital Garage. Feel free to also check the link in the video description box below to visit the Google Digital Garage website, sign up for more webinars on a variety of other digital marketing related topics that might be useful for your business as well. And remember, they are available for you to attend at no charge, like this session has been as well. Be sure to also check out on the Google Digital Garage website the online courses section. And remember, it's the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing course, which is a course that upon completion, you will actually receive a certificate at no charge from Google, recognizing that you've completed that course as well. So apart from that, I want to say a massive thank you to Alison, who I'm sure you'll agree has been a wonderful chat moderator. So feel free to show your appreciation for Alison down below in the live chat. And thank you all for tuning into this Google Digital Garage webinar session. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thank you. Goodbye.